Hi everybody, this is Pastor Joshua Sullivan. Welcome back to Ask the Pastor. Today I've got a special guest. This is Mr. Vernon. He is a founding member of Faith Lutheran Church in Beaverton, Oregon. And he's joining us this year at our diocesan colloquium and synod. So we are here in beautiful Malone, Texas. And I want to take the opportunity to let you meet Mr. K here, because he's got quite a story, and I think something that's worthy of being shared with others. In fact, as I was looking at our stats just before I left for Malone the other day, one of our top 5 questions that gets the most views on Ask the Pastor is, what is the difference between the Eldona and the WELS? And this is why I want to speak with you and introduce you to Mr. Knepreth here, because he is a former WELS layman who had the courage, along with several others, to leave their congregation because of its false teaching and form their own Orthodox Lutheran congregation. So first of all, thank you for being with us, Vernon. Appreciate it very much. I just want to really ask 2 questions today. The first is, for the folks out there who are interested in this topic, why did the folks that eventually became Faith Lutheran, why did they leave their Wisconsin Synod congregation?
There are actually quite a few reasons, and out of the group that we have there, each person would give you their own list of reasons, and some of them are shared between us, others are their own special reasons for leaving. But we all had a variety of reasons, and it was no single reason. There were many reasons for leaving. In my own case, one of the key issues that happened in recent history related to the 2011 NIV issue and the WELS decision to move in the direction of such a translation. And that was kind of a trigger or a transition point for me, where I was putting up with things, and then with the 2011 NIV issue coming up, it kind of pushed me off a dead center.
That was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak.
But many of the reasons that I had for leaving WELS are documented in an article on intrepidlutherans.com. So if you want to look and find out more detailed information about the reason why I left, you'll find that on intrepidlutherans.com.
Okay, intrepidlutherans.com. That's really interesting, and that goes naturally kind of into the second question I wanted to ask you for the sake of our viewers out there. There are other folks in a very similar situation to what you and the other members of Faith were in, whereas you find yourself in a congregation that is belonging to a Lutheran body which has really ceased to be Lutheran in a lot of ways. And I think something you didn't mention, we've talked about here a lot, objective justification, this whole idea that the whole world is justified and absolved apart from faith. And then, well, you can go watch the videos on that, of course, but that's a big issue. You mentioned the NIV 2011, I think we talked about that here as well. But for folks that are in a similar situation, that whether it's a WELS church or a Missouri Synod church, and they see and they're aware of the doctrinal problems and quite frankly the doctrinal rot that's going on in these bodies, you having been through this, if you were to give them advice or counsel, if they came to you and said, Vernon, I belong to a WELS church and I know it's teaching falsely, it's a false fellowship, what can I do, or what should I do? What would you say to them?
Well, there's a number of things I could say, but I'll try and keep it short here. I think the first thing, you have to be open and honest and communicate. But there comes a time where then you have to go beyond that, because you'll find out in these doctrinal issues, these concerns that are raised, is that you'll never get a clear, concise, direct answer. It'll just start going in circles and just keep looping around in circles, and you'll never get anywhere. So be open, be honest in your communication with the pastor, with the church officers, but recognize, particularly when you start seeing this eternal loop that starts going where you get nowhere, then that's time that you'll need to make a decision.
Things have hit critical mass at that point, and there comes a point, this is what I hear you saying, is there comes a point where you realize this isn't going to go anywhere.
Right.
These problems aren't going to be even maybe in some cases addressed. Right. Now you all started Faith Lutheran there in Beaverton, and as most of our viewers know, I've had the pleasure of going out there and serving them on one occasion. wonderful people, wonderful singing. That's the one thing all the Eldona pastors say, wonderful singing from y'all. What's been your experience with leaving the Wisconsin synod and joining, forming really an Eldona congregation?
On the one hand, it's been a tremendous relief because all these concerns that we've had over the past 10, 15 years that never go away, when we left the WELS and came into fellowship with Eldona, all those issues just disappeared. The issue about the 2011 NIV, the issues about objective justification, they just all stopped. So it's been a tremendous relief in that regard. Shortly after we left the WELS, there was a lot of negative things going on. We were hearing a lot of evil words being said about us. Now, our approach generally was stay silent, don't engage in combative behavior. Our decision was to leave. And once that decision was made, we left, and we really didn't have a lot of interest in engaging in a debate once we left.
That was the end of it, the decision. You've come to that conclusion.
The talking had been done. Over months and even years, the talking had been done. Once we decided to leave, the talking was done.
If you had to describe all of this in one word, your experience with joining and forming this Eldona congregation, what would you say? How would you describe that?
I'm not sure I could do it in one word.
Or 500 words or less.
Well, there will be some negative fallout from such a decision. No question, there will be some negative fallout. As much as you can, you have to ignore it. You have to put it out of your mind, but it will be there, and it's hard to ignore.
Right.
But again, the tremendous relief that all of us have experienced by leaving all the doctrinal baggage behind, and it just all vanished. And it's like you have a free conscience now, and you don't have to worry about these things continuously, about what are you going to find out the next time you go to church? What's the new thing that we're going to have to deal with? It's all gone.
It all is gone.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Vernon, thank you so much for letting me interview you here. Thank you for being willing to be subjected to Ask the Pastor and whatnot. You know, for those of you that are regular subscribers, like we said, this video pairs very well then with the differences between the Eldona and the WELS, but also then here with Vernon and all the saints up at Faith Lutheran in Beaverton, Oregon, you have an example of the video we had a couple months ago about what should I do or how long should I remain in an errant church body. And you all have just done a fabulous job in seeking the truth and confessing the faith and doing things which most people would not be comfortable doing or willing doing, breaking away from a congregation and starting your own. But Vernon here and all the saints at Faith Beaverton are living proof that the Lord does bless these sorts of things and that the church will go on. Thank you very much, Vernon. It was great to have you on ATP. If you've got questions you would like to ask about anything or about this interview in particular, shoot me an email, atpholycross@gmail.com. We'll put them in the queue, and we'll get to them when we can. Until next time.